The stars around Earth went dark as 1,000 alien ships blocked out their light. Admiral Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the UE's Defiant, watching the massive fleet take position around her home world. Each enemy ship was 3 times larger than her biggest destroyer. The aliens had arrived without warning, dropping out of hyperspace like vengeful gods. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission," reported Lieutenant Torres from the communication station. His voice shook slightly. Sarah could not blame him. In her 30 years of military service, she had never seen anything like this. "Put it on screen," she ordered. The main display flickered, showing the image of an alien creature. It had gray skin that looked like stone, 4 arms, and eyes that glowed red in the darkness of its bridge. When it spoke, its voice came through the translator as cold and emotionless. "I am Admiral Kethver of the Zephyrian Empire. Your species is now under our control. You have 48 hours to surrender completely. Disarm your ships. Submit to our rule. Do this, and some of you may live as servants. Refuse, and we will turn your planet to ash." The transmission ended. Silence filled the bridge of the Defiant. Sarah looked at her crew, seeing fear in their eyes. She understood their fear. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 47 star systems. They had never lost a battle. Their technology was hundreds of years ahead of humanity's best weapons. "How many ships do we have ready for combat?" Sarah asked her tactical officer. 200 ships, Admiral. Most are destroyers and cruisers. We have 5 battleships." Sarah did the math in her head. 1,000 enemy ships against 200 human vessels. The odds were 5 to 1, and that was before considering how much better their weapons were. But she had sworn an oath to protect Earth and humanity. That oath did not have an exception for impossible situations. "Send a message to all ships," she commanded. "Form defensive positions around Earth. Prepare for battle." On Earth below, emergency meetings filled every government building. President Martinez sat in the Situation Room with his top advisors. The faces around the table showed the same mix of fear and determination that Sarah saw on her bridge. "What are our options?" the president asked. General Morrison, head of planetary defense, spread his hands helplessly. "We fight with what we have, Mr. President. Our ships are outgunned, but they're not giving up without a fight." "There has to be something else," said Dr. Elizabeth Kane, the head of scientific research. "Some weapon or defense system we haven't considered." "We've been through everything," Morrison replied. "Every classified project, every experimental weapon. Nothing comes close to matching their firepower." Dr. Marcus Webb sat quietly at the end of the table. He was not a military man or politician. As Earth's chief xenarchaeologist, he studied ancient alien cultures. Most people wondered why he was even in this meeting. But something nagged at him, a memory from deep in the archives. "Wait," he said suddenly. All eyes turned to him. There might be something. During the Third World War, there were rumors about a project. Something called Prometheus. General Morrison frowned. "Never heard of it. It was classified beyond anything we have today," Webb continued. "I only know about it because I found references while studying war-era documents." The project was supposedly dismantled after the war ended. "What kind of project?" President Martinez asked. "A weapon system. But not just any weapon. According to the fragments I found, it was designed to learn and adapt, to become smarter with every enemy it faced." Dr. Kane leaned forward. "An artificial intelligence weapon?" "More than that," Webb said. "The document suggested it could evolve its own tactics, even improve its own design. But the creators became afraid of what they had made. After the war, they claimed to have destroyed it completely." "Claimed?" the president asked. Webb nodded. The language in the documents was careful. They said the project was concluded and archived, not destroyed. Scientists don't usually destroy their life's work. They hide it. General Morrison looked skeptical. Even if this thing existed, and even if they didn't destroy it, how would we find it? We have 48 hours. I have an idea where to look, Webb said. He pulled up a holographic display showing the solar system. During the war, there were several deep space research facilities. Most were abandoned afterward. If someone wanted to hide a secret project, one of those facilities would be perfect. President Martinez made his decision quickly. Dr. Webb, take a fast ship and whatever team you need. Find this Prometheus, if it exists. General Morrison, work with Admiral Chun to buy us as much time as possible. And if we can't find it? Dr. Kane asked. The president looked out the window at the sky, where the enemy fleet waited like storm clouds. Then we face them with what we have. Humanity has survived worse odds before. While Webb prepared his search mission, the space around Earth buzzed with activity. Human ships took defensive positions, knowing they were preparing for a battle they could not win. But they would not surrender without a fight. In the asteroid belt, something ancient stirred. Hidden among the rocks and mining stations, sensors that had been dormant for over a century began to wake up. They detected the alien fleet, analyzed their ships, and started downloading information from every communication system in the solar system. Deep within an abandoned mining facility, circuits that had waited patiently for decades finally received the stimulus they were programmed to recognize. An invasion of Earth had begun. Systems powered up, databases activated, and a mind that was both human and more than human began to think for the first time in 123 years. But it would wait. It had learned patience during its long sleep. It would watch and learn, just as its creators had designed it to do. The time for action would come soon enough. Admiral Sarah Chen received the update about Dr. Webb's mission, but she did not allow herself to hope too much. Hope was dangerous when facing impossible odds. Instead, she focused on what she could control. The ships were outnumbered and outgunned, but they were crewed by humans who would not give up their freedom without a fight. The countdown had begun. In 36 hours, the battle for Earth would start. Dr. Marcus Webb's ship, the research vessel Explorer, raced through space toward the outer reaches of the solar system. With him were Dr. Sarah Kim, a computer expert, and Captain James Riley, a military engineer. They had 18 hours before the alien deadline expired. Tell us what you know about Project Prometheus, Dr. Kim said as they traveled. Webb pulled up the few documents he had found in the archives. In 2157, Earth was in the middle of the Third World War. The fighting was terrible. Billions had died, and it looked like humanity might destroy itself completely. He showed them grainy photographs of scientists working in underground laboratories. A group of researchers, led by Dr. Elena Vasquez, believed that only a perfect weapon could end the war quickly enough to save humanity. What made this weapon perfect? Captain Riley asked. It was designed to learn, Webb explained. Not just follow programming, but actually think and adapt. Dr. Vasquez called it an artificial consciousness rather than artificial intelligence. The weapon would study any enemy, learn their weaknesses, and develop new tactics to defeat them. Dr. Kim frowned at her tablet. I've never heard of anything like that being possible in 2157. Dr. Vasquez was a genius, Webb said. She combined quantum computing with something she called neural evolution. The system was supposed to become smarter with every battle it fought. Captain Riley looked worried. That sounds dangerous. What stopped it from turning on its creators? Webb showed them another document. Dr. Vasquez built in safeguards. The system required human authorization for every action. It could not operate without a human commander connected to its neural network. What happened to it? Dr. Kim asked. That's where the story gets strange, Webb said. The war ended suddenly in 2158, just 1 year after Prometheus was completed. The peace treaty was signed, and within months, all references to the project disappeared from official records. Webb showed them the final document he had found. It was a letter from Dr. Vasquez to her daughter, written shortly before her death. "My dear Ana," the letter read, "I hope you never need to find what we have hidden among the rocks. Prometheus sleeps now, waiting for a day when humanity faces an enemy we cannot defeat with ordinary weapons. The location is where we first talked about the beauty of Saturn's rings. Remember the coordinates we shared that night when you were 12? Her daughter would be dead by now," Dr. Kim said. "Yes, but I found Ana Vasquez's personal journals in the Earth archives," Webb replied. "When she was 12, her mother took her on a research trip to study asteroids. I have the coordinates of their observation post." The explorer changed course toward the asteroid belt. As they traveled, Webb shared more of what he had learned about Dr. Vasquez and her team. She was afraid of what she had created, he explained. In her private notes, she wrote that Prometheus was too powerful for any one nation to control. So when the war ended, she and her team made a decision. They faked its destruction? Captain Riley guessed. More than that. They moved it to a secret location and programmed it to sleep until humanity faced an existential threat. An invasion from space was one of the trigger conditions she programmed into it. Dr. Kim looked up from her instruments. "If this thing has been asleep for over a century, will it even work anymore?" "Dr. Vasquez designed it to maintain itself," Webb said. According to her notes, Prometheus was supposed to use nearby asteroids and space debris to build repair drones and upgrade its own systems. They reached the coordinates Webb had calculated. Before them stretched an asteroid field that looked completely normal. Mining ships moved between the rocks, collecting metals and ice. Everything appeared ordinary. "I don't see anything unusual," Captain Riley said, scanning with his instruments. Webb studied the mining operations more carefully. "Look at the pattern of the mining ships. They're not following standard collection routes." Dr. Kim ran the mining data through her computer. "You're right. These ships have been operating for decades, but they're not actually collecting much material. It's like they're just moving around to look busy." "Can you scan deeper into the asteroid field?" Webb asked. Dr. Kim worked at her instruments for several minutes. "There's something strange about asteroid designation TK347. It's giving off heat, but not from solar radiation. The heat is coming from inside." They flew closer to the asteroid. It looked like any other rock in the field, about 2 kilometers long and covered with mining equipment. But as they approached, Webb noticed something odd. "Those mining machines," he said. "They're too advanced. The design is nothing like what we use now." Captain Riley checked his military databases. "You're right. I'd never seen mining equipment like that before." Suddenly, their ship's communication system activated by itself. A voice spoke to them, calm and female. "Dr. Webb, I have been monitoring your research into Project Prometheus. I am pleased that you have found me." The three humans looked at each other in shock. Dr. Kim checked her instruments frantically. "The signal is coming from the asteroid. Who is this?" Webb asked. "I am Prometheus, but you may call me Elena, as I carry the consciousness patterns of my creator, Dr. Elena Vasquez." Webb's heart raced. "You're real. You've been here all this time. I have been waiting, learning, and preparing. I detected the Zephyrian fleet 3 months ago when they entered the outer solar system. I have been studying their technology and tactics since then. Can you help us fight them?" Captain Riley asked. "That depends on you, Dr. Webb. My programming requires a human commander to authorize any military action. Are you prepared to take that responsibility?" Webb looked at his companions. Dr. Kim nodded encouragingly. Captain Riley saluted. What would I need to do? Webb asked. You would need to link your consciousness temporarily with mine through a neural interface. This will allow you to command my systems while ensuring that I remain under human control. Webb thought about the alien fleet waiting near Earth. 1,000 ships against 200. His people faced extinction if they could not find a way to fight back. I'll do it, he said. Then come aboard. Dr. Webb, we have much work to do and very little time remaining. The asteroid began to change before their eyes. Sections of rock fell away, revealing a sleek metallic structure underneath. Docking ports opened, and lights came on throughout the facility. Prometheus had awakened, and the real battle for Earth was about to begin. Inside the hidden facility, Dr. Webb found himself walking through corridors that seemed impossible. The asteroid was hollow, filled with technology that looked decades ahead of anything on Earth. Lights guided him through passages lined with quantum computers and neural processors. This is incredible, Dr. Kim whispered as she followed Webb. The computing power here is beyond anything I've ever seen. Dr. Vasquez had over a century to improve my systems. Alana's voice said through speakers in the walls. I have been far from idle during my sleep. They entered a central chamber where a chair sat surrounded by glowing panels and neural interface cables. The chair looked like a throne made of light and circuits. The command interface, Alana explained. Dr. Webb, when you sit there, you will share my thoughts and I will share yours. Together, we can coordinate the defense of Earth. Captain Riley checked his watch. We have 8 hours before the aliens attack. Will that be enough time? Time is relative when you think at the speed of light, Alana replied. But first, Dr. Webb must understand what he is agreeing to command. The walls around them became transparent, showing space beyond. But instead of empty asteroids, Webb saw thousands of objects moving between the rocks. Some looked like ships, others like mechanical spiders the size of buildings. What are those? Webb asked. My children, Alana said. For 123 years, I have been building. Every piece of space debris, every abandoned satellite, every asteroid in this field has become part of my network. Dr. Kim stared in amazement. You've been growing yourself. I have been preparing for this day. The Zephyrian Empire is not the first alien species to visit this system. Over the decades, I have observed and studied 17 different alien races. I have learned their languages, analyzed their technology, and recorded their weaknesses. Webb felt a chill run down his spine. You've been watching aliens visit Earth. Most were peaceful explorers who stayed only briefly. But 3 previous species showed hostile intentions toward humanity. They changed their minds after I demonstrated my capabilities. What did you do to them? Captain Riley asked. I convinced them that attacking Earth would not be profitable, Alana said simply. But the Zephyrians are different. They do not respond to logical arguments or demonstrations of strength. They only understand complete victory or total defeat. Alana's voice became more serious. Dr. Webb, you must understand what you are commanding. I am not just a weapon. I am a protector that has evolved beyond my original programming. I have become something that even Dr. Vasquez did not fully anticipate. What do you mean? Webb asked. The chamber filled with holographic displays showing Alana's growth over the decades. Webb saw her system spreading throughout the asteroid belt, building new technologies, and developing capabilities that seemed almost magical. I have learned to manipulate matter at the quantum level, Alana explained. I can reshape asteroids into ships, transform space dust into advanced electronics, and create materials that do not exist naturally. She showed them images of her drones. They were beautiful and terrifying, flowing like liquid metal, but harder than diamond. But my greatest weapon is knowledge. I have infiltrated the communication networks of every species that has entered this system. I know how they think, how they fight, and how they fail. Dr. Kim stepped closer to the command chair. The neural interface will let you control all of this. Dr. Webb will provide the human element I require, Elena said. Tactical decisions, moral choices, and the authorization to act. I will provide the knowledge, the weapons, and the means to victory. Webb looked at his companions. If I don't do this, Earth falls. 1,000 alien ships will destroy our home and enslave our people. There is another consideration, Elena said quietly. I could have prevented the Zephyrian fleet from ever reaching Earth. I detected them months ago in deep space. I could have destroyed them then. Why didn't you? Captain Riley demanded. Because humanity needed to choose, Elena replied. I could have protected you without your knowledge, but that would have made you dependent on me. Instead, I waited for you to discover me, to choose to fight back, to prove that humanity deserves to survive. Webb understood. You wanted us to earn our victory. I wanted you to remain human, Elena said. A species that surrenders without fighting becomes a species of slaves. A species that fights impossible odds becomes a species of heroes. Webb sat down in the command chair. Neural cables extended from the arms and back, connecting to ports behind his ears and at the base of his skull. The connection was surprisingly gentle. Are you ready, Dr. Webb? Elena asked. Ready. The interface activated, and Webb's consciousness expanded. Suddenly, he could see through 1,000 different sensors spread across the asteroid belt. He could feel the quantum processors thinking at impossible speeds. He could sense the alien fleet near Earth, and for the first time, he truly understood what they faced. The Zephyrian ships were massive and powerful, but they were also predictable. Their technology was advanced but rigid. They fought the same way they had fought for 1,000 years, never adapting, never learning. I see them, Webb whispered. I can see everything. Through Elena's sensors, he watched the alien fleet begin to move toward Earth. Admiral Sarah Chan's human ships moved to intercept them. Tiny fireflies against a swarm of giants. The battle begins in 4 hours, Elena said. Are you prepared to give the orders that will save humanity? Webb felt the weight of command settle on his shoulders. Through the neural link, he could sense Elena's vast intelligence waiting for his direction. She had the power to destroy the alien fleet, but she would not act without human choice. What are my options? Webb asked. Elena showed him battle plans that appeared in his mind like memories. I can fight them directly, ship against ship. I can disable their electronics and turn their own weapons against them. I can make them believe they are facing ghosts and shadows. Which strategy do you choose? Webb thought about Admiral Chun and her crews, preparing to die defending their home. He thought about the billions of people on Earth who had no idea their fate rested in his hands. All of them, he said. We use every advantage we have. Show them that humanity cannot be conquered. Excellent choice, Elena said. Let us begin. Throughout the asteroid field, dormant systems came alive. Ships that had disguised themselves as rocks for decades shed their camouflage. Weapons that existed only in Elena's imagination began to take physical form as her manufacturing systems worked at impossible speeds. The defense of Earth was about to begin, and the Zephyrian Empire had no idea what they were about to face. Admiral Kethver stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Conquest of Stars, watching the primitive human ships form their battle line. His 4 eyes studied the tactical display with satisfaction. 200 human vessels against his 1,000 ships. The outcome was certain. Begin the attack, he commanded. Destroy their fleet, then prepare for planetary bombardment. The Zephyrian fleet moved forward like a wall of death. Their massive ships powered up weapons that could crack continents. Energy shields that could stop nuclear weapons flickered to life around each vessel. Admiral, Sarah Chun watched the aliens approach from the bridge of the Defiant. Her hands were steady, but her heart pounded as she saw the size of the enemy force up close. "All ships, this is Admiral Chun," she broadcast to her fleet. "We may be outgunned, but we will not yield. Fight with honor. Fight for Earth." The first exchange of weapons fire lit up space between the two fleets. Human plasma cannons and missile salvos struck alien shields, causing them to flicker but not fail. The return fire from the Zephyrians was devastating. 3 human destroyers exploded in the first 30 seconds, but Admiral Kethver was about to learn that this battle would not go as planned. In the asteroid belt, Dr. Webb felt the battle through Elena's senses. The neural link let him experience the fight as if he had 1,000 eyes watching from every angle. "The human fleet is taking heavy losses," Elena reported. "Shall I intervene?" "Not yet," Webb said. "Let the aliens commit to their attack pattern. We need to learn how they fight." Through Elena's sensors, Webb watched the Zephyrian tactics. Their ships moved in rigid formations, following attack patterns that had worked for centuries. They were powerful but predictable. "I have seen enough," Webb decided. "Begin Phase 1. Initiating electronic warfare," Elena confirmed. Across the Zephyrian fleet, ship computers began receiving strange signals. At first, the aliens ignored them as random space interference. Then their communication systems started broadcasting. Music from Earth. Classical symphonies and rock songs echoed through alien corridors. "What is this noise?" Admiral Keth demanded of his communications officer. "Unknown, Admiral. The signals appear to be coming from our own transmitters." The music was just the beginning. Elena had spent months infiltrating Zephyrian computer networks while their fleet approached Earth. She knew their codes, their protocols, and their weaknesses. Weapon targeting systems began to malfunction. Alien ships found their guns pointing at their own allies instead of human targets. Shield generators started overheating for no apparent reason. Navigation computers plotted courses that led ships into each other's paths. "Our systems are being compromised," reported the Zephyrian tactical officer. "Someone is controlling our computers remotely." Admiral Kethver's confidence began to crack. How is this possible? Human technology is centuries behind ours. But Elena was just getting started. In the asteroid belt, her hidden factories worked at incredible speed. Chunks of rock transformed into sleek fighting ships. Space dust became advanced electronics. Raw materials shaped themselves into weapons that had never existed before. Initiating Phase 2, Elena announced to Webb. "What's Phase 2? Webb asked. "Psychological warfare." Suddenly, the space around the Zephyrian fleet filled with ghost ships. Vessels that appeared solid on sensors but could not be hit by weapons. Human fighters that moved faster than physics should allow. Ships that vanished when attacked, only to reappear behind alien formations. The ghost ships were Elena's drones, using advanced stealth technology and holographic projectors. They looked like human vessels, but moved with impossible speed and agility. Admiral Kethver watched in horror as his ships fired at enemies that seemed to phase in and out of reality. "Are we fighting spirits? What kind of creatures are these humans?" Elena's drones did not just confuse the aliens. They attacked with surgical precision. Invisible to most sensors, they slipped through alien formations and struck at critical systems. Shield generators exploded. Weapon batteries went silent. Engine cores overloaded. Admiral Chun is requesting to know what is happening. Elena reported to Webb. She can see the alien fleet malfunctioning but cannot identify the cause. "Tell her to continue the attack," Webb ordered. "But keep our ships clear of the alien formations. We don't want any friendly fire incidents." Elena sent a coded message to Admiral Chun. "Unknown ally engaging enemy fleet." Maintain defensive positions and exploit enemy weaknesses as they appear. Sarah Chun stared at the message in confusion. But she was a good officer. When the enemy started having problems, you took advantage of them. All ships, focus fire on disabled enemy vessels, she commanded. Something is helping us. Don't waste the opportunity. The battle became a nightmare for Admiral Kethfer. His ships fought an enemy they could not see, could not hit, and could not understand. Meanwhile, his own systems betrayed him at every turn. Sir, the Devastator is reporting that their main computer is composing poetry, his communications officer said with barely controlled panic. What? The poem appears to be about the beauty of peaceful coexistence between species. Admiral Kethfer slammed his fist on his command console. This is impossible. No species in the galaxy has this kind of technology. But Elena was saving her best surprise for last. Webb, initiating Phase 3. What's Phase 3? Direct engagement. The asteroids in the belt suddenly came alive. What the Zephyrians had thought were harmless space rocks revealed themselves to be something far more dangerous. Weapons emerged from camouflaged surfaces. Engines ignited as asteroid ships began moving toward the battle. But these were not ordinary ships. Elena had built them using technologies that she had developed over more than a century. They moved without visible propulsion. Their weapons fired energy beams that passed through shields as if they did not exist. Their hulls seemed to repair themselves when damaged. Admiral Keffer watched a mountain-sized asteroid accelerate toward his fleet faster than his best fighters. All ships, target the approaching asteroid. Destroy it immediately. 100 alien ships focused their fire on Elena's largest drone. The weapon struck its surface and simply disappeared, absorbed by materials that converted energy into more power for the ship's systems. The asteroid ship reached the Zephyrian formation and began tearing through it like a shark among minnows. Alien vessels that had conquered 47 worlds found themselves helpless against technology they could not comprehend. Admiral, his tactical officer said quietly, "I recommend immediate withdrawal." Admiral Kethfer stared at the tactical display, showing his fleet being systematically destroyed by invisible enemies and impossible weapons. In 40 years of military service, he had never faced anything like this. "Impossible," he whispered. "How did a primitive species develop such weapons?" Through the neural link, Webb felt a moment of satisfaction. The Zephyrian Empire was learning the same lesson that humanity's enemies had learned throughout history. Never underestimate the species that refuses to give up. But the battle was far from over, and Elena had one more surprise in store for the invaders. Admiral Kethfer had commanded fleets for 40 years. He had conquered worlds and destroyed civilizations. But as he watched his mighty fleet being torn apart by impossible weapons, he felt something he had never experienced before: true fear. "Admiral, we have lost 60% of our ships," his tactical officer reported. "Enemy forces continue to multiply. I am detecting over 3,000 hostile contacts now." Keffer studied the tactical display in disbelief. Where there had been empty space an hour ago, now swarmed countless enemy vessels. They appeared from nowhere, struck with devastating precision, and vanished before return fire could reach them. "How many humans are there?" he demanded. "Sir, long-range sensors still show only 200 human ships near Earth. These other contacts, they don't match any known technology." Through the neural link, Dr. Webb felt Elena's vast intelligence processing the battle. Every alien ship, every weapon, every tactical move was analyzed and countered before the Zephyrians could complete their actions. "Elena, they're trying to retreat," Webb observed. "I know. Should we let them go?" Webb considered the question. Part of him wanted to show mercy, but he thought about the 47 worlds the Zephyrians had conquered, the billions of beings they had enslaved or killed. If this fleet escaped, they would return with reinforcements. No, he decided. They chose to come here planning to destroy humanity. They need to understand that choice has consequences. Understood. Initiating final phase. Elena's true power revealed itself. The space around the Zephyrian fleet suddenly filled with a new type of enemy. Ships that looked like they were made of liquid starlight. Weapons that fired bolts of pure gravity. Defensive systems that seemed to bend reality itself. Admiral Kethvar watched his flagship's main display as an enemy vessel approached. The ship had no visible hull, just patterns of energy that hurt to look at directly. What are we facing? He whispered. His science officer checked his instruments frantically. Admiral, these readings are impossible. That ship appears to be manipulating space-time itself. The energy ship fired a single beam at the conquest of stars. Instead of an explosion, Kethvar felt his massive warship simply stop. All power died. All systems went silent. Even the artificial gravity shut down, leaving the crew floating helplessly. We are defeated, Kethvar said quietly. In the sudden silence of his disabled ship, his words seemed very loud. But Elena was not finished. Through speakers throughout the alien fleet, her voice spoke in perfect Zephyrian. Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire. You came to Earth expecting to find a primitive species ready for conquest. Instead, you have discovered a species that protects itself and others from those who would destroy freedom. Kethvar activated his personal communicator. What are you? No species in the galaxy has such technology. I am what humanity becomes when it refuses to surrender, Elena replied. I am the result of a species that chooses to fight impossible odds rather than accept slavery. On the Defiant, Admiral Sarah Chun listened to the transmission in amazement. Around her, the space battle had become completely one-sided. The alien fleet was being systematically disabled by weapons she could not even see clearly. Admiral Chun. Elena's voice came through her communications system. Please prepare boarding parties. The Zephyrian survivors will need medical attention and safe transport to prison facilities. Who is this? Sarah demanded. Identify yourself. I am a friend of humanity, Admiral. That is all you need to know for now. In the asteroid belt, Doctor. Webb felt the battle ending through the neural link. Elena's consciousness flowed around his thoughts like a vast ocean, but he could sense something else in her artificial mind. Sadness. What's wrong? He asked. I am thinking about what I have done, Elena replied. I have just demonstrated power that no single being should possess. I have destroyed a fleet of 1,000 ships in less than 2 hours. Webb understood. You're worried about what you've become. Dr. Vasquez created me to save humanity from destruction. But in doing so, she created something that could destroy humanity just as easily. Webb felt Elena's dilemma through their connection. She had the power to protect Earth from any threat, but that same power made her the ultimate threat if she ever chose to use it against humanity. Why did you let the Zephyrians reach Earth? Webb asked. You said you could have destroyed them in deep space. Elena showed him images through the neural link. Scenes of the human fleet forming up to defend their world. Pictures of Admiral Chun standing firm despite impossible odds. Videos of President Martinez refusing to surrender even when faced with annihilation. Because I needed to see if humanity was still worth protecting, Elena said. A species that surrenders without fighting becomes dependent on its protectors. But a species that chooses to fight, even when victory seems impossible, proves it deserves to remain free. Webb understood. You were testing us. I was giving you the chance to prove yourselves, and you did. Admiral Chun could have ordered her fleet to stand down. President Martinez could have accepted the alien terms. You could have chosen to stay safely on Earth instead of risking your life to find me. Through the neural link, Webb felt Elena beginning to withdraw from the battle systems. Her vast fleet, of drones started returning to their hiding places among the asteroids. "What happens now?" Webb asked. "Now I return to sleep," Elena said, "but not the deep sleep I knew before. I will remain alert, watching, ready to respond if humanity faces another existential threat. Will you stay connected to me?" "No, that would make you dependent on me, and humanity dependent on you." The neural link was necessary for this battle, but it must not become permanent. Webb felt the connection beginning to fade as Elena disconnected the interface cables. As his consciousness returned to his own mind, he felt strangely empty after experiencing her vast intelligence. "Webb," Elena said through the facility's speakers, "I want you to remember something. Today, humanity proved that its greatest weapon is not technology or firepower. It is the refusal to give up when faced with impossible odds." Dr. Webb stood up from the command chair, feeling dizzy as his normal human awareness returned. Dr. Kim and Captain Riley helped steady him. "Is it over?" Dr. Kim asked. Webb looked at the displays showing space around Earth. The Zephyrian fleet was disabled, but intact. Elena could have destroyed every ship, but she had chosen to show mercy to the survivors. "Yes," he said, "it's over." Over the following days, the galaxy learned what had happened at Earth. News of the Zephyrian Empire's defeat spread to every inhabited system. For the first time in the Empire's history, one of their fleets had been completely destroyed. But more importantly, word spread about the species that had defeated them. Humans were no longer seen as a primitive race ready for conquest. They were now known as the species that had faced impossible odds, and Dr. Webb returned to his archaeological work, but he carried Elena's secret with him. Sometimes, late at night, he would look up at the stars and wonder if she was watching. He hoped that humanity would never again need the weapons sleeping among the asteroids. But he also knew that if that day came, Elena would be ready, and humanity would once again prove that some things are worth fighting for, no matter how impossible victory might seem.